voting yes or no on Amendment 4 in Florida?
So I think 6 weeks, you need more time than 6 weeks. I've disagreed with that right from the early primaries. When I heard about it, I disagreed with it. At the same time, the Democrats are radical, so I'll be voting no for that reason.
Somewhat of a cleanup on the campaign trail tonight. Donald Trump clarifying comments he originally made to NBC about abortion access in his home state of Florida. I'm Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. We start tonight with the issue of abortion on center stage with President Donald Trump right now speaking in Washington, D.C. at the National Summit for the advocacy group Moms for Liberty. The group's rallying cry is hot topic of parental rights, particularly in education. But it was his comments on abortion access yesterday that got a lot of people talking and landed in him with some hot water with some conservatives. Tonight, he made it clear that even though he thinks that a 6-week ban is too short of a time frame, he's against a ballot measure in Florida that would expand abortion access. But speaking to NBC News yesterday, he suggested he would support that same ballot measure. Take a listen.
There's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6 week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I'm voting that I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks.
So to break all this down, let's join NBC correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Vaughn, let's start with Trump's rally that's going on right now. Can you put this into context? What message is he driving home there tonight?
Right. This is very much of a right-wing, conservative, largely evangelical block of voters here. I mean, activists, not only out of Washington, D.C., but they have chapters that have popped up around the country. And so for Donald Trump, especially under the context of what has frustrated some, Gadi, as a lack of commitment to citing a federal abortion ban if such a bill were to come to his desk, if he were to win another term to the White House, but also waffling in whether he supports some certain abortion measures around the country. There have been some evangelical, pro-life activists that believe that he has waffled on his position and commitment. And so almost the timing of this event here tonight is worth noting here, because he's able to address this very crowd just a mere hours after making this declaration that he's going to vote no on that bill in Florida that would codify abortion rights up to 24 weeks, Gadi.
And Vaughn, yesterday we saw Dasha Burns pressing Trump about all of this, and it really sounded like the 6-week ban was his sticking point. But does this contradict that, or is he basically saying here, like, I don't like the 6-week thing, but I'm going to vote for it?
Exactly. This was a bill that actually Governor DeSantis signed just over a year ago to make it a Florida law that banned abortions after 6 weeks. And Donald Trump, over the course of the last several years, since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, he has taken credit for Roe v. Wade being overturned and said that he is proud of the 3 Supreme Court justices who he nominated to the bench that were a part of that majority decision, and said that he was proud that this was a decision that was being left up to the states. But Democrats are quick to place the blame now for women across the country in several states being unable to have access to abortion care. And that is where you see places like Florida, where you have a Republican governor and legislature pass a very restrictive abortion legislation, like a 6-week ban. And then voters went and got enough petitions to put on the ballot this November a referendum that would codify abortion rights in the state up to 24 weeks. And so really by Donald Trump's own doing, he himself as a Florida resident was left to make this decision. And the ballot measure is 24 weeks. And as you heard him, when responding to Dasha there, uncomfortable in trying to respond because there were some anti-abortion groups who spoke out last night after that conversation with Dasha and were concerned that he was moving away from what they said was a pro-life stance. And that is where you saw him 24 hours later come out and make this declaration that he is going to stand by what is a 6-week abortion ban right now and vote no on that referendum. And frankly, Donald Trump is not the one that is creating legislation in the state of Florida And what is left to the voters right now is a 6-week ban or a 24-week ban. And Donald Trump has made his decision clear.
And Vaughn, you're much closer to this than I am, but big picture here, given Trump's comments on abortion yesterday and IVF and then Harris's interview last night, does it seem like both are looking for possible places to maybe play with the middle here, or is that reading too deeply into a lot of like knee-jerk headlines?
No, you're absolutely right. Donald Trump, if you go back to 2022 midterm elections, and Donald Trump wasn't on the ballot, but he had a lot of Republican Senate candidates, gubernatorial candidates, House candidates on the ballot who had hardlined anti-abortion positions. And Donald Trump, over the last year and a half, has placed a lot of the blame on a lot of those losses on those Republican candidates' abortion stance, some that included no exceptions, even in the cases of abortion, rape, and incest. And so he said that the Republican Party needed to work to moderate its position on abortion, and that is where you see him trying to do that by saying it's up to the states to do so. And that's where you saw him introduce this idea, this proposal yesterday that would provide free IVF care for all Americans, either through the government or requiring private health insurance to offer it. Of course, Donald Trump has not been specific on exactly what that would look like, how he would do it, or how the billions of dollars, where that would come from to pay for those services. But you also, when you're looking at the polling, a majority of Americans are for reproductive rights. And if you look on, you mentioned Kamala Harris, you've heard her right on, if you just say one position specifically, right, fracking, a big issue, particularly in the likes of Pennsylvania. In 2019, I was covering her on the campaign trail, and she was anti-fracking, saying that she would ensure that it was banned if she would ever get to the White House. But now, last night, you heard her say that that is not her position now, and if she were in the White House, would not want to seek to ban it. And frankly, there's some politics involved here, because polling can give you a pretty good indication where the electorate is at, right or wrong. You could make the case, if you're a politician, that you should be more representative of where the voters are. And so I think for both of these candidates with 2 months out, there is an acknowledgement that there is an election to win here, and some of the positions they once held are maybe not popular with the majority of the electorate, Gadi.
Yeah, Vaughn, I'm so glad you're bringing all that up. We're about to get into that, Vaughn Hilliard. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
As Vaughn was just mentioning, Vice President Kamala Harris, she's fresh off her first sit-down interview since becoming her party's nominee, and she was questioned about a lot of those policy shifts that Vaughn was just talking about over the last few years, including immigration laws as well. Take a listen.
When you first ran, there was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally.
Now, all this is coming as a new poll is out today from the Wall Street Journal, conducted after the Democratic National Convention, and it shows Harris with a slim lead over Trump, 48 to 47%. It is within the margin of error. But for context, that same poll showed Trump leading President Biden by 6 points in early July. For more, let's go to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Gadi, in her first extensive interview since President Biden dropped out of the race, Vice President Harris defended some of her shifting policy positions since she last ran for the White House in 2019. She insisted that her values have not changed, even though some of her policy stances have shifted. Speaking to CNN, she was asked whether she was still in favor of banning fracking like she had been in 2019, and she flatly said that she does not support a fracking ban. On immigration, she was pressed about a 2019 primary debate where she raised her hand when asked whether the border should be decriminalized. She now says there should be consequences for people who cross our border illegally and that laws should be enforced. Harris also described for the first time publicly how she found out President Biden was dropping out of the race. She got a phone call after having breakfast with her family and sitting down to work on a puzzle. Her initial response, she says, to the president was, "Are you sure?" And Harris also said that if she's elected, she'd appoint a Republican to her cabinet because she wants to have different views at the table. Now, what's next? Well, Labor Day is typically the marker for the home stretch of any presidential campaign. We understand that Vice President Harris will continue her debate prep, and on Monday, the campaign is planning a battleground blitz, including a rare joint event with President Biden. The Harris campaign is hoping to capitalize on the abortion issue over the next few weeks. They just announced a bus tour starting Tuesday in former President Trump's hometown of Palm Beach, Florida, called the Fighting for Reproductive Freedom Tour. They're planning at least 50 stops in key states, and the tour will include Second Gentleman Emhoff, Mrs. Walz, and others. Vice President Harris has long been seen as an effective messenger on reproductive rights, and Democrats are hoping that will keep the enthusiasm around her campaign going as we get closer to November. Gadi?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. And in Los Angeles, one of the two doctors charged in connection with the death of Matthew Perry was in court today. This is Dr. Mark Chavez, and he is expected to plead guilty to conspiring to distribute ketamine after signing a plea agreement. A judge ordered him to surrender his medical license and to not practice medicine, and he is one of 5 people prosecutors say fueled Perry's addiction. Chavez would be the 3rd person to plead guilty in that case. Steve Patterson joins us now. So, Steve, is this doctor facing jail time here?
He is, yeah. I mean, this is a plea agreement, but he still is facing 10 years in federal prison, far better than what his peer is facing, the other doctor that's been indicted in this criminal investigation, which would be more than 100 years in federal prison. So obviously the plea deal is part of this whole investigation. Part of it, the stipulation of what happened in court today, he did make $50,000 bond. The judge also, though, mandating him to not practice medicine anymore. He lost his license, we learned a few days ago, so his license has been suspended, but the doctor expressly telling him, look, do not go out and seek another job or employment in the field of medicine. You have to stop and halt all of that, as the judge basically said. Meanwhile, this is more of like a day where what happened sort of around court was more interesting than what actually happened in court. It was a sort of first appearance status hearing. We're going to learn a lot more later on. But his attorney also spoke to reporters, not expected to do so, but did. And while doing so, Chavez was still there. So it almost felt like he was sort of being paraded in front of reporters as sort of a strategy, the calculus to what happens during sentencing, trying to make him a little bit more sympathetic. Here's what his attorney said. Listen to this.
What we can tell you is that he's incredibly remorseful what happened, not just because it happened to Matthew Perry, but because it happened to a patient. He's trying to do everything in his power to right the wrong that happened here. He didn't accept responsibility today, but only because it wasn't on calendar. We're going to be setting a change of plea in the next few weeks, and so that'll happen here shortly once I contact the court.
So you can hear there the attorney trying to make the case that he is remorseful, he should be, sort of sympathetic, and a figure that really didn't mean to do what he did. Sentencing, we are not sure when that's going to happen yet. That will follow what should be expected to be a guilty plea. That could come maybe next week or so. I'm not sure yet.
So that's his defense attorney saying he is going to accept responsibility. Yes. Is that what we're seeing from everybody in this case? And what can we expect next?
No. So remember, 5 people listed in the complaint, 2 of them doctors. One of the doctors obviously had their day in court today. The other doctor and the so-called ketamine queen, who is sort of the primary defendants in this case, they both pled not guilty. 3 others, again, signing that plea deal, using that information, flipping with investigators to sort of build a case against the 2 who pled not guilty. Those 2, again, pleading not guilty when these indictments basically came down a few weeks ago. They had first court appearances. They have another court date scheduled next week, and then trial dates scheduled in October. Obviously, investigators would like them to plead guilty as well, but not sure if that's part of the strategy.
Such an important case here. Yeah. Steve Patterson, thank you.
Thanks.
And some tragic news tonight in the world of hockey. NHL star Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were hit and killed by an SUV while out riding bikes together last night on the eve of their sister's wedding. Now, both Johnny and Matthew played hockey for Boston College. Johnny then went on to play for the Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Johnny was 31, Matthew just 29 years old. Meanwhile, the driver of that Jeep that crashed into them has been arrested. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Adrian Broadus with more on this tragedy. Adrian, we're hearing that Johnny and his brother were in New Jersey for his sister's wedding. Do we know what happened right before that crash?
Well, this happened on the eve of their sister's wedding, and today they're supposed to be celebrating, but now this family is grieving and preparing to plan a funeral for the NHL star and his younger brother. Here's what we know about that 43-year-old accused of crashing into them while they were on bicycles. That 43-year-old is Sean Higgins. He appeared by video before a judge today. He did not enter a plea. He did receive a court-appointed attorney, but told the judge that he would retain his own attorney. Now, according to a report filed by the arresting officer, Higgins admitted to consuming at least 5 to 6 beers before getting behind the wheel of that car. He also told the arresting officer he was trying to pass another vehicle when he hit Johnny and his younger brother, Matt. Again, they were on their bicycles, Gadi.
So tragic. And what are we hearing from the family and the Blue Jackets?
Well, we are hearing from the family. I want to start with what the commissioner of the NHL said in a statement, and I'm reading from it. In part, he says, while Johnny's infectious spirit for the game and show-stopping skills on the ice earned him the nickname Johnny Hockey, he was more than just a dazzling hockey player. He was a doting father and beloved husband, son, brother, and teammate. We're also hearing from an uncle who said in part, last night, we lost 2 husbands, 2 fathers, 2 sons, 2 brothers, and 2 nephews, but truly 2 amazing humans. He also went on to say, we want to let everyone know we are receiving your messages of love and support, and we appreciate your continued thoughts and prayers. We know Johnny was 31 and leaves behind his wife, Meredith, his family, including 2 young children. Gadi.
So many people there impacted. And do we know where the investigation stands right now? We know suspect has been charged, but what kind of jail time could they face if they're convicted?
Yeah, he has been charged with 2 counts of second-degree vehicular homicide. Each count carries a maximum sentence, if convicted, of 10 years in prison. He returns for another hearing next week. He will be held in jail over the weekend because of the long holiday weekend. And as he told that judge today, he plans to retain his own attorney. But this is just so tough for not only the family and friends, but the fans outside of the stadium where Johnny played. There's a small memorial growing and a message in his honor tonight as people remember him.
Such a senseless loss. Adrian, thank you. And you know that podcast Serial? Well, there's been another twist in the case of Adnan Syed, the man who was convicted of murder, then covered in the podcast, only to have that conviction overturned. And now Maryland Supreme Court today just found that the original conviction should stand over a legal technicality. The state's highest court finding that the rights of the murder victim's family were violated when Syed's conviction was overturned. And that is a lot of legal whiplash to keep track of. So let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Angela Sinandela to break down what this ruling means. So, Angela, let's take a quick step back here. Is the Supreme Court here saying that he is guilty on the facts, or is this all about the victim's family not being notified?
Gadi, that is a great clarification because the Supreme Court of Maryland is not saying at all anything that has to do with his guilt or his conviction based on the facts, or the fact that the lower court decided to vacate that conviction. In fact, in the ruling, they go and detail the facts, the evidence that resulted in the conviction being overturned, and it seems pretty condemning that it should have been overturned. So there is nothing to do with that. It's entirely procedural, as you said, with regards to notifying the victim's family that first, the evidentiary hearing happened behind closed doors, and in Maryland, there's a state law that victims' families have to be included in any hearing that could potentially reduce a defendant's sentence. And then secondly, the issue was that the prosecutors then decided to formally dismiss the charges while the victim's family was appealing. So when you dismiss charges while an appeal is happening, everything goes away, right? It's just totally moot. So the Supreme Court there is saying the victim's rights were not respected, Gadi.
When we're practically speaking here, does this mean that Syed could possibly go back to jail or prison because of this decision here?
So I think it's very unlikely. So the only part that we're going back to in this rewind is after the prosecutors filed a motion to vacate the conviction. So essentially, all of their arguments would likely stand. At this point, what happens is a different court, so not the trial court that already held this closed-door hearing, but a different trial court would then hear from both the defense and the prosecutors about why they want this conviction to be vacated. The fact that both sides are on the same page means that all signs show that it'll likely continue to be vacated. So I don't think this will change Adnan Syed's outcome. It's just, unfortunately, is going to take a lot longer. Because as I said earlier about the appeal this time, guess what? They have to listen to this appeal, wait for the appeal before any charges can be officially dismissed.
It sounds like you're saying there are like a lot more steps to go through here before this is all settled.
There are. You know, it's timing. I don't think it's really that many steps. It's just extended timing. So it goes back to a court, and the court will then just have to hear, do we want this vacated? Both parties are on the same side. When both parties are on the same side, it will likely go a lot faster. But it's just that this time they have to make sure the victim's family is included. The victim's family can always appeal, but it seems unlikely that it would result in the victim's family's favor here, Gadi.
What a mess. Angela Sinandela, thank you very much. And don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. Up next, it is officially Labor Day weekend, and millions are hitting the road to soak up the last bit of summer. Our Shaq Brewster has a report on the travel outlook tonight. Plus, tens of millions of Gen Zers are going to be eligible to vote this November. And per usual, campaigns are hoping to use social media to sway them. But will that actually get young voters to show up at the polls? That report is straight ahead. And later this hour, living on Mars is a lot closer to the reality than you might think. NASA has built and tested these habitats for the red planet, and we are going to talk to one of the scientists who actually lived and tested one of those homes out for more than 300 days. That's coming up in tonight's Future of Everything.
If we're going to survive as a species, we're going to have to be off planet. Because obviously, the solar system, it's going to be disrupted at some point. That's a given.
Hey, welcome back. By air, by land, and by rail, holiday travel is in full effect for this weekend. More on that in just a minute. But first, here's some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. A Dallas police officer was killed last night, shot while in a marked police car. Now, the Dallas police chief says that the suspect had intentionally targeted that officer. The armed suspect then took off, leading police on a 30-mile chase. The suspect was shot and killed, and 2 other officers were hurt in a gun battle. And there seems to be a whole bunch of issues with the Boar's Head plant that's been linked to a listeria outbreak that's killed at least 9 people. The USDA has found insects, mold, even blood puddles at the plant in Virginia. The outbreak's been reported in 18 states, and Boar's Head has recalled more than 7 million pounds of deli meat. And the feds announcing the largest case of pharmacy burglaries in history. And the DEA finding more than $12 million in controlled substances that were all stolen across 31 states. And they've been investigating a Houston-based crime ring for 3 years that they say used the internet to find rural pharmacies stealing high-priced drugs. 42 defendants were indicted yesterday. And false reports of an active shooter triggered a huge stampede at Disney World. It was some sort of fight and a popping noise that were actually to blame, and guests at that Magic Kingdom went running, leaving behind this mess that you see. Police there think the noise might have been from a popping balloon, and the park says normal operations have now resumed. And Boeing's Starliner is coming back to Earth, but without 2 astronauts. That Starliner is set to return without a crew next Friday, and NASA changed those plans last week, saying Starliner's astronauts will come back to Earth with competitor SpaceX next year. They deemed the mission too risky because of a helium leak and thruster issues. The re-entry is expected to take about 6 hours with a landing in New Mexico. And today marks the start of a busy Labor Day weekend, which means travelers are bracing themselves for traffic and long TSA lines. There are airports across the country right now preparing for a record number of travelers. TSA says they plan on screening more than 17 million people, and nearly 3 million are expected to fly today alone. But for those who are choosing to road trip instead, there's a little bit of good news for drivers. Gas prices seem to be down from last month, and from this time last year, well, they dropped 45 cents a gallon. Either way, you should definitely have a good playlist ready for your trip. And NBC News correspondent Shaq Brewster has been at Chicago O'Hare all day and has more on what travelers are saying.
Hi there. Well, throughout the day, we've seen lines come and go here at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and things overall have been moving fairly smoothly. And that's despite the line of storms that we saw come through the Midwest just this morning. It did lead to some delays in the morning, but those delays were largely resolved even as that storm continued to make its way across the country. Across the country, we saw throughout the day more than 5,000 delays, about 200 cancellations. But I talked to some passengers here as they were heading out for their Labor Day travel. Listen to a little bit of what they told me. You know, this is one of the busiest days of travel this weekend.
I know.
What are you expecting?
I don't know, a stiff cocktail maybe.
That will get you through this airport?
Yeah.
But I'm from Atlanta, so Atlanta's crowded. This is mild.
This is mild for you?
This is mild.
The TSA says it was expecting to screen some 3 million passengers at airport checkpoints across the country today, marking the busiest day of travel of this holiday season. And of course, it's not just what you're seeing here at airports, but also what you're seeing out on the roads. AAA saying that if you are going to begin that travel on Saturday, wait until the afternoon. That is when you can avoid most of the congestion that is expected to come tomorrow morning as folks enjoy those lower gas prices, especially when you compare to what we saw just last year. So a busy weekend of travel, and one that is well underway. Back to you.
Shaq Brewster, thank you. And whether you're flying, driving, or just kicking back at home, you might need to keep an eye on the weather because a lot of people might be trading in their hot dogs for hoodies, as some areas could see heavy downpours. And in some areas, it's already started. Places like Alabama and Minnesota were battered with storms overnight. You can see the damage there, trees uprooted, downed power lines, and more storms are on the way. NBC News meteorologist Angie Lastman joins me now. Angie, we've been talking about these storms that are on the way. What parts of the country are really in for it here?
Hey there, Gadi. We've got a couple of spots. So it's the Midwest here for the short term, and it's really a long-term kind of thing that we're going to see across parts of the Southeast. But as for right now, we've got some of these thunderstorm watches in effect for places like Metro Detroit, down through the Gulf Coast, flood watches that are going to remain in effect through tomorrow, with all of that rain ramping up. As far as the severe weather is concerned for your day tomorrow, this is the bullseye. Basically, Binghamton down to Charleston. We'll have Washington, D.C. and Pittsburgh included in there, and we're going to look for the potential for some strong wind gusts. The risk of tornadoes is going to be low, but we'll have to watch, of course, for the potential for hail as well. The big picture look is really unsettled from the interior Northeast all the way down to the Gulf Coast through the day tomorrow. So yes, unfortunately, it's rain in the forecast for our friends that are planning to be out and about in that region. Again, the Northeast stretching through the Ohio Valley and down towards parts of the southern plains. The rest of the country looks pretty great. We've got some toasty weather for parts of the Pacific Northwest, plenty of sunshine across the plains. That kind of pattern sticks with us as we get into Sunday too, and we even get some seasonable kind of conditions as far as temperatures are concerned across the Great Lakes. But the rain sticks with us for the Southeast. A good chunk of that area is going to be talking about really impressive rainfall amounts, and that means that the weekend washout is going to cause problems when it comes to travel too, Gadi. This is something that we'll have to watch for here even as we get into Monday.
Just looking at that map down there in the Southeast, I mean, should people be traveling by air or should be driving at this point?
Yeah, the Southeast is going to be really tricky because you'll notice we've got a lot of rain, so the flash flooding potential is going to be there. So, of course, the roads are going to be difficult, but also we know that the delays are going to be there as well when it comes to flights. Here's the spots that we're really concerned about. Houston, we're likely to see some delays there. That's some of the spots that we're expecting to see the most rain and those thunderstorms sticking around at least through Monday and potentially into Tuesday. Notice Charlotte and Atlanta, both hubs, both could potentially be looking at some delays with that rain in the forecast. And then across the state of Florida, Tampa specifically, we've got some thunderstorms in the forecast there, so that'll be something that we watch as far as delays too. The roads, I-10 really is going to be one of our concerning spots, not just Monday, but through at least the next couple of days with, you guessed it, all of that rain. The potential for flooding will be there for folks that are just trying to get back on Monday after their long holiday weekend, Gadi.
Glad I am not flying. Angie, thank you so much.
Of course.
And coming up, an NBC News exclusive report, warnings about how older Americans are being scammed out of millions of dollars. NBC's Christine Romans has those details in a moment, but first, you gotta see this. 3 words for you: mini therapy horses. These little guys are doing big work here in Los Angeles as part of a nonprofit organization, and they're not horsing around. They are helping people deal with physical and mental trauma, visiting veterans and hospitals. Some of these little guys can even play electronic keyboards with their muzzles. With talent like this, they really make people's days. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the stories happening out west that we're following right now. A 60-year-old Wells Fargo employee somehow died on the job and was mysteriously found dead in her cubicle last week. That was 4 days after she went to work in Tempe, Arizona. Now, police say there are no signs of foul play, but they are still investigating. Look at this incredible rescue near Palm Springs. A Riverside County crew saved a family from a pretty treacherous hike. That helicopter was used to get them all to safely. One of them had some sort of medical emergency, was able to be treated at the scene. Officials say the rescue happened during the hottest part of the day in a very difficult area near Joshua Tree National Park. And some people went nuts on social media after rapper and actor Ludacris posted video of himself drinking water straight from a glacier because, I don't know, it's the internet.
Here we go. Oh, my God.
Refreshing, right? Well, people seem to be worried that he could get sick from drinking untreated water and that it could be filled with all kinds of parasites. But surprise, people on the internet were wrong. I know that is crazy to think. Scientists say that is totally fine. In fact, that's the cleanest water you might be able to get. Cheers, Luda. And with the rise in cryptocurrency, we could see the inevitable rise of even more crypto fraud. True, and NBC's Christine Romans has that story.
It shows up as a security pop-up alert on your screen, warning you to call a number for immediate help to protect your money. It happened to Marilyn Locasio when she was browsing on her iPad. Over 2 days, a gang of scammers drained her of more than $30,000, she says, convincing her to deposit money into an ATM typically used to convert cash into the cryptocurrency Bitcoin.
I just called the number without thinking. You know, it would be anything other than Apple.
You thought you were protecting your money?
I thought I was, because after the gentleman from Apple, he then connected me with someone who was supposed to be a representative of my bank.
He told her because of a fraudulent charge on her account, she should withdraw cash and deposit it into a specific Bitcoin ATM, promising the money would show back up in her bank account the next day.
I know nothing about Bitcoin at all. I didn't realize that once you get in there, you can't get your money back.
The Federal Trade Commission reports a spike in scammers using Bitcoin ATM machines, stealing more than $65 million in just the first 6 months of this year, up nearly tenfold since 2020.
When your heart starts thumping that there's something seriously wrong, it may very well be that while you're trying to protect yourself from fraud, you're actually being defrauded.
Scammers pretend to be tech support, your bank, even the government. In Marilyn's case, they said her Social Security number was frozen until she deposited the money. Experts say don't click on or respond to unfamiliar links. Slow down. Scammers try to create a sense of urgency, and they'll often ask for you to withdraw cash, buy gift cards, or deposit money into a Bitcoin ATM. The FTC says the average loss this year is $10,000 per victim. Christine Romans, NBC News, New York.
Christine, thank you. And this November, 41 million Gen Z Americans will be eligible to vote. And of course, there are a lot of political strategy types out there trying to figure out how social media will help them reach these young voters. But this has been going on for at least a decade now. So how's it going to play out with Gen Z for this election? NBC's Ariel Hickson talked to a group of bipartisan college students to try to find out.
Had a Brett Subber.
Riz, someone who's really cool.
No, that's a little sus.
Some say Gen Z is hard to get, but whether you understand them or not,
How many of you plan to vote in this election?
This election year, they've got a role to play.
But I really do think that this election is different. I feel like there's a lot more at stake now.
And many are wondering if they'll go from scrolling on their phones to voting in November.
And there's also a large effort gap between just reposting something on X versus actually walking into your polling station and casting your vote.
Who are you voting for this election?
I'm voting for Donald Trump.
I'll be voting for Kamala Harris.
As of right now, neither candidate. I'm still looking to see if any candidate fundamentally changes. I'm not hopeful about that.
According to Tufts University, nearly 41 million members of Gen Z are eligible to vote this year. And that's why political strategists are focusing their attention on social media.
I'm on TikTok. I see how Kamala Harris's campaign has been utilizing that as a tool. And it really is getting young people excited to participate.
And 2024 is different because social media engagement is playing out in real time.
Every single moment that either Trump messed up or Biden in particular messed up, that was blasted in every single social media platform. That's all I saw for a week.
Imani Cheers, a digital storytelling professor at George Washington University, says social media gives politicians the chance to directly engage young voters.
You have to meet people literally where they are. And the way we've seen campaigning go about, where, yes, having ads, maybe even hosting rallies.
But many are wondering if virtual engagement is enough.
If it starts to tail off or if it becomes less popular, I think people might be less motivated to go and vote because it's not what they see everyone else doing.
Regardless, November is right around the corner.
I try my best not to be influenced too much by what I see on social media, but I do think it plays a big role in the continued polarization of this country.
And only time will tell if social media outreach will empower America's youngest voters to cast their ballots. In Washington, Ariel Hickson, NBC News.
And coming up, a photo of these guys right here. These guys playing baseball in Bhutan. That went viral, and the next thing you know, they were flying halfway around the world, from the Himalayas to New York as guests of the New York Yankees. We're going to share that awesome story for you coming up after the break. Hey, let's take a quick look around the world. A judge has ordered the social media platform X to immediately shut down in Brazil. That decision came after its owner, Elon Musk, refused to comply with the judge's orders to suspend a number of accounts. Musk calls that ruling censorship, but that does not change the result. But right now, X is in the dark in a country of 20 million people. And the Maori King of New Zealand has died. He was 69 years old. A spokesperson says he was in the hospital at the time recovering from heart surgery, surrounded by his wife and 3 children. His death coming just days after celebrating the 18th anniversary of his coronation. And the Switzerland city of Basel will hold the Eurovision Song Contest in May 2025, returning to the country where it originated back in 1956 and beating out Geneva and Zurich. The final, which drew 163 million viewers around the world this year, will take place on May 17th. And NASA's newest solar sail, ACS-3, that just deployed its massive 80-meter sail in space, and it's using sunlight for propulsion. That innovative technology could revolutionize space travel by harnessing the sun's energy instead of relying on fuel. And the coolest part? It's now fully deployed. That sail might be visible from down here on Earth. And deep in the Himalayas, kids are discovering the joy of baseball. And somehow, a picture of them playing led to a visit halfway around the world at Yankee Stadium. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo takes you inside their unforgettable experience.
I'll join here.
A moment that seemed unimaginable.
It's been a dream to be here.
A meeting these teen baseball and softball players from Bhutan will never forget.
Excitement over and over again.
But to understand how this once-in-a-lifetime moment happened, we have to take you back to this viral photo from last year.
Within the first few hours of it being released, we just received all of the responses that were sent to us and all of the support and positive motivation.
Matt DeSantis is a tech specialist who moved to Bhutan nearly 15 years ago. He started the league that same year with his friend Karma Dorgi, a Bhutan native. Matt wanted to introduce the game he grew up playing to his new community. At first, there were dozens who showed up to the field wanting to play. But then,
3 weeks into it, we had 600, 700 children showing up every day.
Bhutan isn't exactly known for baseball. Their national sport is archery, with some of those kids having never even heard about the game.
I was curious about this game when I heard this word baseball.
The photo even getting the attention of some big names like former Yankee Curtis Granderson.
Best of luck to all the players out in Bhutan.
We were just being welcomed into the global community, and it just gave us such inspiration and passion to continue playing.
The stunning image also capturing the eyes of leadership of the Yankees minor league team, the Hudson Valley Renegades. Their general manager contacted Matt and quickly came up with a plan to get the kids to the States.
Within 20 minutes of a conversation with Matt, we had the framework for what you see here today.
Traveling more than 7,000 miles, the young athletes made their way to New York.
Finally, we're here in Yankee Stadium.
Getting a chance to see the pros at work up close.
I'm excited that I'm meeting Aaron Judge for the first time.
Even sitting in on a pregame press conference.
It's awesome. You know, you want to see the game grow, and this is proof of that.
These interactions with players that they've been watching on YouTube for years and years and years, we're just beyond humbled.
inspiring a new generation of players.
Hopefully, we can have a Bhutanese baseball player, and I know it will happen, wearing pinstripes someday.
Thank you so much, sir. Big fan of yours.
Thank you. Stephen Romo, NBC News.
I don't know about pinstripes. I don't want to see a uniform like that. Stephen Romo, thank you so much. And college football is officially back as tomorrow kicks off week 1. And while some teams have already started playing, NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch shows us what's new this season.
The tailgates, the mascots, and of course, the kickoffs are back in a big way with the official return of college football.
Football's back. Football is back.
But this season comes with lots of big changes. The college football playoff is expanding from just 4 teams to 12. That means more schools have a fighting chance to compete for a national championship.
Now it matters what seed everybody is. It matters if you're 8 versus 9, because that's the difference between hosting a playoff game in the first round or not.
And even months before bowl season, we'll see new matchups due to big conference realignments. The iconic Pac-12 once Rose Bowl regulars, but now that conference is effectively gone, with all but 2 schools fleeing to the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12. Those cherished regional rivalries with more than 100 years of history are now mostly gone, with schools now playing against teams they historically have not faced.
We're going to miss the traditions that it had. But, you know, it also creates an opportunity of making new traditions.
It also means athletes and their families will travel farther across the country. Look at the Golden Bears' schedule. They fly from the Bay Area to Alabama, Florida, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. But entering these powerhouse conferences means new opportunities, more money, and more potential to attract top players.
We really need to be one of those top 4 conferences to be able to say and attract the elite level student athletes who want to test themselves and compete against the best in the country.
Oklahoma State's football players will even have QR codes on their helmets, linking to a fund that helps student athletes cash in on their name, image, and likeness. A new season full of changes, marking a new era of college football. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
Jesse, thanks. And before we go, it is time for the future of everything. And today, we're going to dive into one of our favorite topics, the future of space and the future of space living. Right now, NASA is working on creating habitats to actually sit on the surface of Mars for people to live in, and they are testing those habitats right here on Earth. One of NASA's chief medical officers who actually lived in one of those thingies joins us right after the break, so stay tuned. And NASA's Red Planet rover is hitting the road. Perseverance is on its way to the tippity top of the crater it landed inside of more than 3 years ago. Now, the mission's goal is to better understand the surface and the geological history of Mars. And it is the kind of data that will be necessary if human colonies are one day going to be built out there. But before we can truly call those distant worlds our home, we need to build and we need to test some sustainable and habit spaces up there on here on Earth. And the bottom line is the future of living beyond our Earth is already closer than you think.
For the eyes of the world, now look into space.
Moon and Mars colonies would cost $700 billion.
Mars really is potentially habitable in some sense.
Meet George Jetson.
The space fantasies of yesterday.
Some of them are uncannily accurate.
Turned engineering inspirations of today.
All good science fiction usually is grounded in some degree of fact and evidence.
Those early predictions and concepts were onto something, but modern space architects are dreaming even bigger.
I don't see a limit to the number of construction robots that can exist on the surface of the moon.
Imagine a lunar colony built entirely from the moon itself, with 3D printed launch pads, futuristic domes, and a network of space highways.
It's a self-sufficient system. It doesn't rely on us bringing tons and tons of concrete, for example.
Melody Ashar considers every detail.
And in some of these designs, you have actually a view from the South Pole to Earth, a constant view to Earth.
Because her job means advancing the human race and creating a home for human beings.
You're isolated from communications from Earth, you're isolated from friends and family. The conditions are super, super intense.
Sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas are just old ones reimagined.
Ironically, the solution that we found goes back to like 1694.
For Maxim de Jong, expandable space habitats build off a centuries-old math concept.
If you bend a flexible rod, for example, it'll take this shape, or, a combination of mathematical inputs that you put on a constrained object, and it takes a certain shape, whether you like it or not. It's not specifically my invention. We added our own spices and magic sauce.
The special ingredient, ultra high-tech fiber, the type of modern material that can bend and adapt in space's harsh environment.
It's a vast departure from anything that's been done with expandable habitats until now.
From paper to prototype, testing these habitats of the future on Earth is a crucial part of the process.
The bottom line is that you're sending something to space, so what you design and build here, you need to know it's going to perform exactly in the way that you intend in space. That's very, very, very difficult to do.
NASA's latest test, a mission simulating life on Mars. 1 year, 4 people living inside a 3D printed bubble. The floor plan complete with bedrooms, a fitness area, and even a garden.
Which the crew used to actually grow greens and various types of produce, which they then would prepare and enjoy within the kitchen area. This is just a first step in exploring how we can provide an Earth-based analog solution for research purposes.
They are earthly solutions for a world of unknowns, because we are in a race to the stars and our future homes are waiting to be built. And who better to talk space habitats than someone who lived in one, at least the simulated version of one that you saw there. Joining me now is Dr. Nathan Jones, the medical officer for NASA's CHAPEA 1 mission. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. Okay, 300 and some days in a 3D printed isolation pod almost. I got to ask, what did you miss the most, and what was the first thing you did when you got out?
Well, I'd probably be in trouble if I didn't say that I missed my family the most, but certainly missed, some of the simple things like radiant heat from the sun and that sort of thing. One of the first things I did whenever I got out was just spend a little bit of time with my family, though. Certainly was probably a priority for me. But I also had plans to go to the beach. Didn't work out. We got hit by a hurricane right after we egressed from the habitat.
Oh my God, no hurricanes, hopefully there on Mars. I wonder what that would have felt like, though. Like, you're in isolation for that long, and then you just look up at the thing that we take for granted, the sun, and you feel it on your face. Like, that is such a human experience, right?
Yeah, it was such an amazing thing to complete the mission and get to go outside and just see the sunshine, feel the breeze, and just even, the simple smells of nature and everything.
And speaking of nature, you guys brought some, grew some nature in there. Like, how did the garden veggies taste like? How did the food taste like? Is it working? Are there a lot of tweaks that need to be made before we go to Mars? Or, what you guys experienced, could that work today?
I think so. I feel like we actually did learn some things about the product that we were using and how to grow some things more effectively. Thankfully, we didn't start from scratch. NASA had a great team that's been working on it on the International Space Station and otherwise. And then, some of us crew, including myself, had experience growing crops outside the mission beforehand, too.
And you're a medical doctor, and I'm sure you were very cognizant of how your body was feeling, but also, how does your mind feel? Here on Earth, you can hit the emergency button and be out to your family and to help really quickly. But, was there an effect on the human psyche in isolation like that?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that we all get affected by moments of isolation and that sort of thing. But I think one of the keys is really just, to reframe things cognitively. So we kind of learn to say, hey, how can I rethink about this moment? For instance, there were a lot of times whenever there were not a lot of things to do. There wasn't as much on the schedule as we would have liked, or for instance, what they had scheduled, we finished early. And so you needed to be creative about finding new things to do when maybe mission control hadn't designated something in that time slot. So when time goes by so quickly in general in life, I found that it was actually kind of neat that I could take a moment and just slow down and just really appreciate how time just wasn't passing by so quickly as it normally would.
Yeah, hopefully something that you can do on Mars. Although I don't know if the gravity is going to be the same if you're playing ping pong there. Real quick, one piece of advice to whoever ends up living on Mars first.
Oh man, just I really hope that that they really just go with the mindset of learning new things. And one thing that I felt was really particularly helpful is just not sweating, the little things. And you're going to have stressors, things that come up every day, and just learning to step past them and to reframe your mindset whenever you're getting frustrated.
A great advice for those that will be on Mars, and great advice for those here on Earth too. Dr. Nathan Jones, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And for tonight's The Best of Us, we are returning to some of our favorite people. Earlier this month, we told you the story of content creator Nicholas Nuvan, who does these really wonderful man-on-the-street interviews where his primary focus is introducing us to Caribbean communities and their businesses. And that's where we met Brooklyn chef Nikki and her jerk chicken restaurant.
Somebody is grilling up out here. Let's see who it is. Hey, I was wondering, who owns this place?
Me, the chef, Nikki.
Oh, yeah?
Come on.
Me, the chef, Nikki, come on. Well, at the end of their time together, Nikki told Nicholas that if he really wanted to get a feel for how it all started, he should come with her to Jamaica.
Often you go back to Spanish Town.
Get ready to go back down there in July.
What if I came with you one time?
Come to our house.
I'm not joking.
Brother, I'm inviting you to come to Jamaica.
Good idea, right? Well, that's exactly what he did. Take a look.
Got to Jamaica. There's coconut water right across the street of the Kingston.
Nah, man, the international airport. You smell the herbs? Gee, that's great.
The trip to Jamaica was so much fun. It was cool to see Jamaica like in a non-touristy light.
So they have the whole stack of coconuts. I've never seen anything like this before. Coconuts right out the airport. Thank you so much. This is Nikki's oldest sister, Juliet.
Patricia right here.
We've been here 10 minutes. This is already the best experience.
Nikki and I, we have videos together, but like, we talk for hours and hours and hours off camera. She tells me these stories about walking around in Spanish Town and telling me stories about how the people are.
All right, we just made it to the house.
Oh,
it's your cousin?
Yeah, sure. Red Stripe, sorry. We're the sponsor. We're glad you guys are here with us, man.
It was cool to like turn these characters into real life people.
Yes, I'm a grew up from a local picnic.
Rock us where Nicolette from. She's a nice person.
When I went to Jamaica, on my last day, somebody said to me, hey, you just stayed in Kingston. Why didn't you go to Portland? Why didn't you go to Negril? I just like to break misconceptions about the way people think. I find peace in like talking to good people, and I don't need like the most beautiful beach in the whole world to feel at peace. And so seeing like where she's from and like the people that she grew up with, they're so sweet just like her, and they are the way that she is. So yeah, it was a good time.
That's a good time. Time to book some tickets. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here on Monday, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.